Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the brand new Ridley Scott movie House of Gucci, which stars Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto, Jeremy Irons, and of course Al Pacino, the great Al Pacino. And this is a movie that I was pretty excited for. I didn't watch the trailer as early as a lot of people did, but I heard all the hype about it, and then I finally watched the trailer and I was like, you know what, this does look pretty fun. And I was excited to see especially Lady Gaga's performance when she's taking a full-on acting role rather than a mixed acting and singing role like she did in A Star Is Born. So here we go. What did I think of this movie? And I'll be honest, I really did enjoy watching this film. I think it is my main issue with this movie, which I'll get into later, is the length of the movie and Jared Leto. But first, let's talk about the things that I did like about this movie. And first off, I will say that the performances in this movie are almost all phenomenal. I think particularly Al Pacino was my favorite character in the movie, and I think whenever he was on screen, I was just in love with this movie. He is such a great actor in everything that he does, and I found him as kind of the uncle of Adam Driver's character, this guy who has been a part of Gucci for so long, and how he loses everything with everything that happens in this movie, all the betrayals in this movie, all the family drama in this film. I think Al Pacino at the center of all of that was very, very entertaining to watch on screen. And of course, being the stars of the movie, Lady Gaga and Adam Driver are incredible in this film, especially their chemistry within the first act of the movie. I thought was almost perfect. I really loved the first act of this film. I thought it set up the story and the characters perfectly. Pretty much everybody was set up perfectly, and I thought the relationship between Adam Driver and his father, played by Jeremy Irons, was great. I thought that relationship between Lady Gaga and Adam Driver, of course, was phenomenal, and that's kind of the basis of this entire story. This entire story hinges upon that relationship and that romance that blossoms in the first act and how that falls apart throughout the true story of everything that happened. I thought that was phenomenal. I thought all of that was great. And when you had, that drama between those two characters, in their relationship and them running this business with Al Pacino's character and that betrayal that you have, all that was great. And in terms of the story, I thought, like I said, with the relationship, I thought all that was so well done. And with the business aspects of it, I was honestly a lot more interested in this story than I thought I was going to be. And I think that this movie does have the ability to, if you're not interested in this type of, drama, this is very much a melodrama about all these characters, all this family drama, running this incredibly, rich business, and they're so wealthy, and it's kind of just a bunch of conversations and a bunch of, betrayals. And if that doesn't sound interesting to you, because this is such a long movie and it does take its time and it's kind of a slower film, that honestly, I feel like it could bore some people. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to be as invested into the business aspects of this movie that I was going to be, but I was pretty interested. I think the second act, being all of that, was it was tough to get through. I'll be honest. The movie started to lose me a little bit, especially when it pertained to Jared Leto's character. And like I said, I loved Al Pacino in this movie, and with him being the father of Jared Leto, all of their scenes were just those two together. When it's the quieter scenes between those two, I thought were really solid. But when Jared Leto is being so over the top and hammy throughout this entire movie, and this movie is over the top because you're dealing with the Gucci family, so it's going to have over the top elements, but he took it a notch too far, and I just could not at all begin to like his character. He was very annoying, and some of his comedy in this movie does work. I will say that I chuckled a few times. He has a dance scene in this movie that I thought was very funny, but he just it was always so distracting because I know it's Jared Leto, I know it's all makeup, and I know it's just every time I saw him on screen, especially when he was doing this over the top, like Mario-like Italian accents, it just took me out of the movie every single time. And that's probably what hurts the second act of this movie most for me, because every single time he was on screen, I remember that I was watching a movie. When I was dealing with Adam Driver and Lady Gaga, I feel like I'm watching that relationship blossom from beginning to end, and so I'm so invested in their storyline. And then Jared Leto pops on screen, and he's like screaming and doing all these over-the-top things that he's doing with his absurd performance, and it just takes me right out of the movie. And I realize I'm sitting in a theater, staring at a screen, watching this actor go way too hard at this terrible Italian accent. And specifically in the second act, when it's dealing with his character, I thought the movie really did drag. But once it gets into the third act, and you kind of, put some of those actors in the background, I think Al Pacino definitely does take a backseat in the third act, which was kind of upsetting. There was one phenomenal scene, which you guys will probably know, with, everybody's involved. It's Al Pacino, it's Jared Leto's in the scene, and Adam Driver's in the scene, and a couple other business people, and it's, dealing with, the transfer of power, essentially, of the Gucci, name. And this scene was just amazing. I thought that was the best of Al Pacino and Jared Leto and Adam Driver in this entire movie. I thought that entire scene was brilliant. And I think there's one scene with Lady Gaga where she's kind of threatening this other woman who's trying to Adam Driver is seeming like he could go in the direction of where he could cheat on her with this other woman, and she has a scene where she basically very passive aggressively threatens her. That is brilliant. I loved her performance when she starts, kind of getting this edge to her, when she becomes more of a Gucci than Adam Driver was, because I thought, in terms of the characters, I thought that was very interesting, where Adam Driver's character, yes, he is Gucci by name, but he doesn't really feel like a Gucci at the beginning of this movie, and he even says so. He feels like an outsider in terms of his family. And that's kind of how that relationship started, because he wanted to leave his family behind. He wanted to go and fall in love with somebody that is, outside of all this, drama that he has in his family, and he does that, but he slowly gets more corrupted by the Gucci name and by, the business aspects of it, and Lady Gaga gets even more so corrupt, and she becomes even more of that Gucci name that is just so synonymous with, drama and backstabbing and all these, terrible business decisions, and that relationship that just completely crumbles in the end of this movie, and how, insane that she gets by the end of this film, which, if you know the true story with all the murder and everything about that, it is kind of crazy. I did not know this true story, and it's kind of baffling how this actually went down. And I thought the third act of this movie, especially, getting through the second act, with some aspects of it working very well, other aspects of it not working very well, the third act really did bring it home, and I absolutely loved the last 30 minutes of this film. I do think the movie struggles a little bit, here and there, but when this movie is great, when it's on the top of its game, it's on the top of its game. The performances are great. The direction from Ridley Scott is phenomenal. I do wish this movie was just trimmed down a little bit, especially in the second act, to kind of, get moving a little bit faster. I really wish they recast Jared Leto with anybody else that was, or just even Jared Leto, when he was great, when he was more subtle, when he was more nuanced with his performance, he was good. But when he was over the top, I just didn't buy it. But overall, I did really enjoy this movie. If you want to watch a movie for Thanksgiving about families backstabbing and families, angrily yelling at each other and all this drama within families, because that's what Thanksgiving is, this is honestly the perfect time for this movie to come out. So definitely go ahead and check out this movie if you are interested in that sort of melodrama story with all these characters and with all these great performances. Watching a great Ridley Scott film, I think you will enjoy this movie. This is also the third biopic I've watched in a row. I watched King Richard, and then Tick Tick Boom, and then this movie all in a row, and so I'm kind of on a biopic craze. I will have reviews out for those other two movies in this kind of like streaming, compiled review of a bunch of different streaming movies, because I want to review Finch, I want to review Red Notice, I want to review, those two, and maybe a couple others. I just need to watch like one more thing to get that whole video kind of set, and I'll do that later on this week. So thanks guys for watching this video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one, like that video that I'm talking about in the future of all those streaming movies. Definitely subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below what your thoughts are on House of Gucci. So thanks everyone for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one.